Dakika 20 zimesalia tuweze kuendelea, bado tuko live, tuko chonja ama vipi?
Ni kweli, najua msikilizaji kidogo alikuwa anashangaa, kidogo tumetoweka hewani. Tuomba radhi. Tuiradhi, lakini tupo, tumerejea msikilizaji. Kwa mpigo tena zaidi, kuhakikisha kwamba tunakupa burudani kamili, kuhakikisha kwamba tunaifanya preparation day yako iwe safi, preparation yako day yako iwe njema kabisa, ili wakati unapoingia kwenye sabato takatifu siku ya kesho, basi mambo yakuwe shwari kabisa.
Meanwhile, kama mpenzi msikilizaji unataka kutakiana pale lunch poa, unaweza tupigia, na pia tukizidi kusonga mbele pale kuna mwenye alitamani tuweze alirequest. Nilitoa pi kutamani. Alirequest tuweze kuimba wimbo fulani. Acha nibebe silaha yangu. Hata kwanza si silaha.
Ubebe silaha yako.
Sauti ya kwangu.
Alafu kuna mtu mmoja pia.
Ndio?
Alikuwa ametuma ujumbe wake akasema, "Hi Betty na Zakari, tumebarikiwa na mafunzo. Please nichezee song number 4. Ni Faith Mom Joy kutoka Kipsirwa Lavington."
Number 4.
Naam.
Nitaweza kuangalia pale, tutaweza kuomba pamoja au tutaweza kuimba pamoja number 4, ama utaweza kuchezewa pale nambari 4, nyimbo za Kristo. Tukizidi kusonga pale mbele, sijui kama umepata pale, uko tayari?
Niko tayari mimi.
Uko chonjo kabisa?
Niko chonjo. Kimi chonjo.
Inaitwa Jina la Yesu ni Salamu. Ni salamu, mambo pale. Tutazidi kusonga mbele pia, tutaweza
Jina la Yesu ni Salamu. Wimbo nambari 15.
Hiyo ni si 15, ile ambaye aliweza tuweze kucheza wimbo nambari 4 yani.
Au hiyo tutakuwa tukimchezea baadaye.
So ni Nena Rohoni Yesu, si ndio? Nena rohoni. Uko tayari?
Tengeneza sauti yako kwako.
Wewe ama mimi niko mambo ni kama hayo, na tutazidi kusonga mbele pale kwa yule ambaye anatamani kujua pale. Ilikuwa nambari 15, Nena Rohoni Yesu, na najua kwamba utazidi kubarikiwa katika kila hali, ama vipi?
Ni kweli msikilizaji wetu. Na hivyo basi msikilizaji, tutakuwa tukiwimba wimbo nambari 15, wimbo Nena Mungu. Nyimbo za Kristo.
Nena Rohoni.
Nena kwangu wasema Nena Mungu.
Twende
lakini kazi. Usijali.
Tuone basi.
Sema kwangu kwa pendo, huachi upweke. Fungua moyo wangu, nisikie mara. Jaza roho na sifa zako Bwana. Siku unene vile kwa upole, nong'oneza kwa pole wapendo. Daima utashinda uhuruni wako. Nisikie maneno, huachi upweke.
Stanza ya pili.
Nena kwa wana wako, waonyeshe njia. Wajaze kwa furaha, fundisha kuomba. Wajifunze kutoa maisha kamili. Wahimize ufalme, tumwone Mwokozi. Kila siku une vile kwa upole, nong'oneza kwa pole, kwa pole wapendo, daima utashinda, uhuru ni wako. Nisikie maneno, huachwi upweke, nena kama zamani ulipoitoa sheria takatifu, niiweke pia, nipate kukutukuza wewe Mungu wangu. Mapenzi yako tena daima kusifu, kila siku unene vile kwa upole, nong'oneza kwa pole, kwa pole wapendo, daima utashinda, uhuru ni wako. Nisikie maneno, huachwi upweke.
Na mambo ni kama hayo, mpenzi msikilizaji. Nena rohoni Yesu, nena kwa upole. Kila siku atazidi kunena na wewe unapofungua pale moyo wako, na atazidi kuzungumza na wewe katika kila jambo, kwa sababu anaponena na wewe anazungumza kwa roho yako. Unapomfungulia roho aingie kupitia kwa Roho Mtakatifu, inakuwa jambo la manufaa, kwa sababu stanza ya kwanza inasema ya kwamba nena rohoni Yesu, nena kwa upole. Sema kwangu kwa pendo, huachwi upweke. Fungua moyo wangu nisikie mara, jaza roho yangu na sifa zako Bwana. Mbona aweze kupewa sifa? Kwa sababu yeye ndio mweza wa kila jambo. Na ndiposa mpenzi msikilizaji, unapojiandaa pale, kwa wale ambao wanajiandaa pale kwa ajili ya sabato ya siku ya kesho, tunaomba ya kwamba Mwenyezi Mungu azidi kukaa na nyinyi katika kila hali.
Asante sana Bwana Zakari. Nami msikilizaji wangu, acha niseme hivi kwamba natumai kutokana na mafunzo ambayo tumekuwa nayo siku ya leo, natumai kwamba over the weekend utaweza kukaa, utaweza kufikiria, utaweza kujiangalia wewe ndani kwa ndani, alafu utaweza kufanya uamuzi wa kwako. Na kwamba tumesema wale watu ambao, kuna watu ambao kila wakati wanakuambia subiri bwana, usiokeke sasa hivi. Nimekwambia mimi nilikuwa na rafiki mmoja, alikuwa ananiambia kila wakati, Beti bwana, tufanye dhambi kidogo. Unajua bado tu wachanga, waona. Lakini msikilizaji wangu, uamuzi ni wako. It's the most important decision you can make in your life, and ni uamuzi ambao ni wa busara zaidi katika maisha yako. Na hivyo wakati tunapoingia katika sabato takatifu, nami nikutakie weekend njema, nikutakie sabato njema. Kwa wale ambao watakuwa kiabudu siku ya kesho, basi nawatakia sabato njema. Kwa wale ambao watakuwa kienda kanisani siku ya Jumapili, basi nanyi nawatakia Jumapili njema. Na kwa wale ambao pia watakuwa kiabudu siku ya leo, basi nanyi Ijumaa karimu kwenu.
Kweli pale tunazidi kuombea mibaraka ya Mwenyezi Mungu iwe na nyinyi katika kila jambo. Dakika 11 zimeweza kusalia tuweze kufika kwenye top of the hour. Na kumbuka ya kwamba tunashukuru sana kwa kuwa umeweza kuwa na sisi tangia mida kwenye awamu ya kwanza. Na pia tunashukuru Dorin Jeru kwa kuwa umekuwa nasi pale hasa kwenye mtandao wa Facebook pale. Nasema ya kwamba Mungu azidi kuwabariki. Na kumbuka ya kwamba mpenzi msikilizaji, unapoenda kanisa usiwahi, by the way mimi nilisema ya kwamba Beti, siwezi sema nimekuachia kanisa. Heri ni kuachia vitu vingine. Lakini kanisa siwezi kosa, kwa sababu naenda huko kuzungumza na Mwenyezi Mungu. Ya dhambi zangu zinaoshwa kupitia ninapoenda huko. Na kumbuka ya kwamba yenyewe nimekuachia ama ninaachia pale mizigo yangu yote, Yesu Kristo aweze kunitatulia pale katika kila hali.
Amina. Na hivyo basi msikilizaji wetu, maana naona kwamba muda wetu unatupa kisogo, natumai itakuwa vyema zaidi tukiweza kutoweka hewani. Na tukushukuru kwa kuwa msikilizaji mwaminifu tangia siku ya Jumatatu hadi siku ya leo, siku ya Ijumaa, siku ambayo tunatamatisha wiki na siku ambayo tunajiandaa kwa ajili ya wiki nyingine. Hivyo basi msikilizaji wangu, mimi nakutakia afya njema na kutakia baraka zake Mwenyezi Mungu wa ndani ya weekend hadi tutakapokutana siku ya Jumatatu. Tukutane tukiwa salama, tukiwa tumefurahi, tukiwa na afya, tukiwa tena tumekuwa ndani yake Mwenyezi Mungu.
Kumbuka ya kwamba Jumatatu bado tutakuwa tunazungumzia masuala ya biashara. Wiki hii tumezungumzia saa mambo na ukulima pale. Kuna wale ambao tunaogopa kushika jembe kwa njia moja mengine. Natumai ya kwamba wiki hii mzima umeweza kupata jambo moja ama mbili pale kwa njia moja mengine. Na pia usilale kwa mzembe. Fanya kazi, wekeza mahali fulani na utazidi kubarikiwa pale.
Ni kweli msikilizaji wetu, na hivyo basi kama jinsi ilivyo desturi, kabla ya kuweza kuondoka hapa studioni, lazima tuweze kumshukuru Mwenyezi Mungu kwa kuwa amekuwa pamoja nasi, ametulinda, hata mitambo mikakoma kidogo lakini akayamsha, waona? Nguvu zake Mwenyezi Mungu
kubwa.
Nakwambia tu. Hivyo basi natumai msikilizaji itakuwa vyema tukiweza kuamini na kuomba. Mwenyezi Mungu tukushukuru, tutasema asante kwa ajili ya kuwa pamoja nasi tangu siku ya Jumatatu hadi siku ya leo, siku ya Ijumaa. Tutasema asante kwa ajili ya kutuongoza. Tutasema asante kwa ajili ya baraka zako pia. Tuomba Mwenyezi Mungu tuendapo kuingia kwenye wikendi, kwa pamoja nasi, tubariki, nena nasi, tusaidie ili tuweze kufanya maamuzi ambayo yanafaa katika maisha yetu. Naomba haya nikiamini.
Amina, 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 amina. Ulikuwa na mimi mchungaji Zakari Monda.
Nami ni Tabet Ndanu, #TheQueen of Airwaves. Hadi siku ya Jumatatu, kwa heri.
Tukutane saa 2 kamili pale, tukiendelea kuchambua nini ile leseni pale katika kila hali. Karibu na wewe. Baraton FM.
Come
Sio radio tu, hii ni radio ya kisasa, bora zaidi, nambari 1 kwa utangazaji bora na wa kuaminika. Haya ni matukio ya hivi punde. Baraton FM, kwa maisha ya sasa na yajayo.
Unasikiliza Baraton FM. Ni saa 7 kamili. Mbashara kwenye mitabendi na kwenye mitandao, kwa maisha ya sasa na yajayo.
Haya ni matukio ya leo kwa hisani ya shirika la afya duniani WHO. Jikinge, kinga uwapendao, nawa mikono kila wakati, epuka mikutano ya umma, vaa barakoa popote kila mara. Pamoja tutashinda corona.
Justice Wanjala asked the issue of turnout of 65.4. I want to tell this court, at paragraph 30 of the affidavit of the chairman, that clarification was sought and it was given.
We are projecting it up so that it's not said, because we have been accused of cooking things, forging things. We've been called many names, devices, but even as we show, Murang'a County, Kagema, Kangema, Muguru, and Gasharai Primary School 02. This is live. Lords and my ladies, we have downloaded a Form 34A.
Kukupasheni matukio kama yanavyojiri katika kila pembe ya taifa la Kenya, kanda na kimataifa. Haya ni matukio ya Baraton FM.
Ni mwendo wa saa 7 majira ni Afrika Mashariki. Hujambo msikilizaji mahali pale popote ulipo, na karibu katika habari zetu za sasa. Ni Baraton FM, radio bora zaidi kwa utangazaji na habari za kuaminika. Jina langu ni Osebe Nelson. Hujambo popote ulipo mchana wa leo, na karibu katika habari zetu mpaka tamati. Tukianza moja kwa moja ni kwamba kesi katika mahakama ya juu inaendelea kusikizwa leo hii, huku mawakili wa pande zote wakitoa hoja zao za mwisho leo hii, ikiwa ni siku ya mwisho ya kusikilizwa kwa kesi hiyo, kwani Jumatatu majaji wa mahakama hiyo ya upeo wanatarajiwa kutoa uamuzi wao kutokana na kesi hiyo. Kwa sasa tuelekee katika mahakama hiyo ya upeo, tusikilize ni kipi ambacho kinaendelea kwa sasa.
Be praising things that are seen as unconstitutional. Very quickly, I would like to highlight other provisions of the Constitution that I think that should be looked at very keenly, and there was no compliance with that, which should lead the court to determine that there was no free and fair election. Article 10, was it fair and transparent? We cannot say that, because if we have a result that has been tallied and verified by a few commissioners, that the majority of the commissioners are not given the opportunity, or we have some results that were not verified, then how can we say that that's a fair and transparent election? I ask you to look at Article 81, the general principles for the electoral system, which talk about a free and fair election that is run in an efficient manner, that are free from any corruption. But we've had many shocking things, that in our country, we can have foreigners, even from the failing states, taking advantage of us, our systems, our people, and our electoral system. And the court should rebuke that kind of a thing. We should not allow it to happen again. It's a shame that, indeed, this is making us a laughing stock in the world. Everyone is laughing at us, that we cannot carry on our own process, a simple process of tallying results and declaring them. That there's always a problem. When we could see the IEBC spending more time entertaining us with their music, instead of announcing the results. It was very irritating, I must say, as a voter, when you cannot find the results from the commission, but you find music that you could play very freely on your own devices if you wanted to. Article 138(3)(c) is very clear. It has stated that the role of tallying, verifying, and announcing the results is vested in the commission. 138(10), by referring to the chairman as the one who is declaring the results, is simply delegating that responsibility to him. And even if the chairman was not there, that function would still be carried out. If you look at the IEBC Act of 2011, Section 7A and B, it clearly provides what should happen in case there's a vacancy in the position in the office of the chairperson of the IEBC. Things will go on. Nothing will stop, as the chairman would like us to believe. Everything will be carried on, even if the chairman was not there. And should this court find it appropriate to declare that there's an element of breach of Chapter 6, the court should go ahead and make that determination, and other processes can follow.
Na mkumbuka kwamba vikao hivyo kutoka katika mahakama ya upeo jijini Nairobi vitakuwa vinakukujia hapa ndani mbashara baada ya habari zetu kukamilika. Hapo awali wakili wa IEBC Mahamat Somane alielezea kuhusiana na watu waliojitokeza kupiga kura na vile tume hiyo inachukua data hiyo kisha kuitumia kutengeneza asilimia ya taifa ya watu waliopiga kura.
Also ask a question. Justice Oko ask the question that that is the number of the 86,889. Those are the people who voted manually. So the integrity of this process is very important because the other ones can be accounted for by the kids, right? The second question, Justice Oko said, Omtata says 1,665,412 people curiously voted for when the polls close at 9. I think this is a faulty analysis, and you really have to understand how the kit works, right? So when you open the polling station, the kit sends a message that we have opened the polling station, we are ready for action. People pass through it. It sends automatic returns. It pings to the nearest network, sends automatic returns over the period of time. If it's not able to get the network, it will keep that information for the next 2 hours. Yeah, so that is how the number changes. The polling will close, but some kings will be sending the people, how many people went through, and it's only when we know when all the kings have transmitted and we know how many people have voted manually that you can be able to look at it. So polling ends at 5 p.m. There are areas that voting commences on 6 a.m. on the next day. Some places in Eldas. KIMS reported happens once the network, once it has network, and it requests to connect. So I think it's a false analysis because he says at 5 p.m. we should have known the whole turnout. It's not true. KIMS will keep on giving that information. Justice Leonora asked the information about whether the Form 34C is captured in JPEG and what happens to it. I humbly want to donate a KIMS kit to the court, a training one for the court to see itself. I have given a dummy form, a training form 34A. I have also given the password. The courts can take the picture and actually see what happens. The kit takes the image, and it's on the image that actually the conversion happens on PDF. We don't do any JPEG, and there's a reason for that. In fact, if you look at it, when you are taking the image, it will ask you for the QR code, whether it is proper. It will ask you for the gray scaling, and you will see how we do it. And we do for JPEG because all your phones take JPEG. We want to differentiate our image from the ubiquitous images of JPEG. So that one I want to, through the registrar, I want to donate to the court to see it, a live demo. Justice Wanjala asked the issue of turnout of 65.4. I want to tell this court, at paragraph 30 of the affidavit of the chairman, that clarification was sought and it was given. And the chairman, and there is a video to it actually, the chairman clarified and he said the turnout is not 65.4, it is 64.6. In fact, you will see Martin Nyaga rushing to the chairman, telling him, the person who was in charge of the cumulative of the turnout, telling him, no, that is erroneous. So the number is 64.6. At the point where he made.
Fuata masharti ya Wizara ya Afya, epuka corona.
Matukio ya Baraton FM, matukio ya kina na ufahafu.
Na wakili anayewakilisha mrengo wa Kenya Kwanza Githure Kindiki pia alikuwa na wakati wa kujibu swali lililoulizwa na majaji hapo jana kwamba kama ikiwa kamati kuu ya usalama nchini NCAS ilikuwa inajua matokeo ya urais kwanza kabla ya kufanya mkutano katika maeneo ya Bomas. Kulingana Kindiki, amekubali kwamba kamati hiyo ni kweli ilikuwa inajua matokeo kabla ya kumpigia simu Chebukati na kumshawishi abadilishe matokeo.
The results before they went there, and two, why would the result not be announced the next day to build consensus, and four, what would be the effect of the non-involvement of the four commissioners in the verification and tallying vis-a-vis Article 138(3)(c. Our response is as follows. One, it is our submission that all factors point to an inescapable conclusion that the four members of the National Security Advisory Council, by the time they went to the Bomas of Kenya National Tallying Center, and by the time the head of public service placed a call on the returning officer of the presidential election, by that time they knew. And this is our evidence. By the morning of the 15th, letters had been issued by the returning officer of the presidential election, Mr. Chebukati, to all the presidential candidates and members of their family to be at the National Tallying Center for the declaration of results at 3 p.m. on that day.
Na wakili wa upande wa Azimio Julie Soweto pia kwa upande wake ametoa maelezo kwa mahakama kwamba kulikuwa na udanganyifu wa fomu 34A haswa kutoka kaunti ya Kirinyaga pamoja na kaunti ya Bungoma. Kulingana Soweto, ambaye alitoa hoja zake kwa kuonyesha ama physical presentation na kudai kulikuwa na udanganyifu katika uchaguzi uliopita.
We're asking that you open on your own devices, but even as we show, Murang'a County. Kangema, Muguru, and Gasharaigo Primary School 02. This is live. My lords and my ladies, we have downloaded a Form 34A from the IEBC portal. And I'd like the court to just scrutinize this form before we go to other details. From where I am, the stamp. The stamp. My lords and my ladies, is that the IEBC stamp? It's on the IEBC portal, looking like it's been superimposed over another stamp. We have been asked to show how are the figures changed. The votes. Now, my lords and my ladies, if we look at the votes cast, the first figure on the form is for Raila Odinga, 55. It's followed by William Ruto, 260. It's followed by, I think that's Mwaure Waiga 001, and the last is Wajakoya 000. If we sum up the total votes, we get 316. The total votes cast according to this particular form is 321, different from what we have just seen. The rejected votes are 4, which means already by calculation there is a problem. But we'd like the court to look at the total number of registered voters. A close scrutiny of the form shows that the number was probably 455, and the 5 is actually similar to the figures written in the votes cast. But somebody or somehow that figure has been changed to make it look like 488. It is obvious to the naked eye when you look at that form. Now, when we go to now the bombshell itself, the top left-hand corner of the form, we were told by my colleague, Mr. Gumbo, there were no foreigners in this election. We were told the foreigners left before the 8th of August. We were told they did not even have access to maintain the server. This is on the 9th of August, and at the top left-hand corner there is the name of one of the Venezuelans, Jose Camargo. This is the person who decided the president-elect of the country.
Radio yetu, kituo chetu, hii ni Baraton FM kwa muziki bomba wa Injili. Barikiwa.
Je, wajua kwamba unaweza kuambukizwa virusi vya COVID-19 katika harakati za kununua bidhaa pale nyumbani?
Baraton FM inajali afya yako pale sokoni au madukani.
Hakikisha kwamba unafanya ununuzi wako kabla ya muda wa kilele, wakati ambapo kila mtu anafanya ununuzi.
Kabla hujatoka nyumbani, hakikisha kwamba unafahamu sheria za kuzuia maambukizi ya COVID-19 katika eneo lako. Ikiwezekana, tembea na kiyeyushi maarufu kama sanitizer pamoja na kuvaa barakoa. Ikiwa una matatizo mengine ya afya au una umri wa zaidi ya miaka 60, vaa barakoa spesheli ya matibabu.
Ukiwa sokoni, tumia muda mfupi iwezekanavyo kufanya ununuzi bila kusahau umbali wa mita 1.5 na wenzako.
Matukio ya Baraton FM, matukio ya kina na ufahafu.
Na kutoka rubaa za kimataifa tuelekee Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. Maafisa katika jimbo linalokumbwa na machafuko la Tigray nchini Ethiopia wamedai kwamba vikosi vya Ethiopia vimeanza tena kushirikiana na vikosi katika taifa jirani Eritrea kushambulia jimbo hilo la kaskazini. Serikali ya Ethiopia haikutoa kauli jana Alhamisi kuhusu tuhuma hizo zilizotolewa na ofisi ya mambo ya nje ya Tigray, na vile msemaji wa vikosi vya Tigray Getachew Reda aliyedai kwamba mashambulizi makubwa yameanza kaskazini magharibi mwa Tigray, lakini serikali ya Ethiopia ilidai vikosi vya Tigray ndivyo vilianza mashambulizi hayo. Machafuko hayo yalianza Novemba mwaka 2020, yalitulizwa mapema mwaka huu, lakini yalianza tena wiki iliyopita baada ya juhudi za mazungumzo ya amani kufeli. Imekuwa vigumu kuhakiki madai ya pande zote mbili kwamba mapigano yamechacha upya kwa sababu jimbo la Tigray bado limetengwa na ulimwengu kufuatia ukosefu wa huduma za kimsingi. Na msikilizaji, ndo hayo tu kwa sasa. Zidi kusikiliza Baraton FM kwa maisha ya sasa na yajayo. Jina langu ni Osebe Nelson, nikutakia mchana mzuri na weekend ya kufana.
matukio ya Baraton FM mbashara kama yanavyojiri kwa habari tendeti na za kuaminika.
Baraton FM 103.9.
Another hot mix exclusive. Another hot mix exclusive. Another hot mix exclusive.
Kwa wananchi wakakamavu kote nchini Kenya, tunawaleteeni bonge la burudani kwa njia ya muziki.
Hapa ni nyumbani kwa muziki wa Injili, Baraton FM, sauti ya chuo kikuu cha Afrika Mashariki.
103.9 Baraton FM, kwa nyimbo komavu na tulivu za Injili za kukuinua nafsi usiku na mchana kutwa.
Baraton FM 103.9.
Kila wakati macheo hadi machweo, usiku na mchana, kwenye jukwaa la mtandao. Burudika, changamka, barikiwa na muziki bila kikomo. Hii ni Baraton FM.
Tunakupambia siku yako na muziki mtamu bila kikomo. Baraton FM,
muziki bora na bora zaidi.
Hujambo mwanaspoti wa Baraton FM, natumai ya kwamba siku yako inazidi kukuendea vema, ikiwa leo ni Jumaa ya tarehe 2 mwezi wa 9 mwaka 2022. Karibu kwenye matukio kispoti. Jina langu ni Beki Mstaarabu Orina Junior. Moja kwa moja msikilizaji, ni kwamba dirisha la uhamisho katika ligi kuu ya Uingereza lilifungwa usiku wa Septemba mosi mwaka 2022 baada ya kuwa wazi kwa takriban miezi mitatu. Siku ya mwisho ya soko la uhamisho wa wachezaji katika EPL ilikuwa na shughuli nyingi, huku wachezaji mbalimbali wakihama kutoka vilabu vyao na kujiunga na vilabu vipya aidha kwa mkopo au kwa uhamisho wa kudumu. Baadhi ya wachezaji waliosajiliwa kutoka ligi hiyo ya Uingereza, huku wengine wakichukuliwa kutoka kwa mataifa mengine. Hii hapa ni orodha ya uhamisho ambao ulikamilika hapo jana usiku majira ya Afrika Mashariki, ikiwa ni saa 5:59 masaa ya Uingereza. Kwa hivyo msikilizaji, Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang aliingia Chelsea kutoka Barcelona kwa kima cha pauni milioni 10.3, huku Marcos Alonso akiondoka kutoka Chelsea kwenda Barcelona kwa uhamisho wa bure, na kisha Dennis Zakaria akaweza kutoka Juventus kuja Chelsea kwa mkopo. Hector Bellerin akaondoka kutoka Arsenal kuelekea Barcelona kwa uhamisho wa bure. Maitland-Niles aliondoka kutoka Arsenal kwenda Southampton kwa mkopo. James Garner kutoka Manchester United kwenda Everton kwa kima cha euro milioni 15, huku Martin Dubravka akiondoka Newcastle kwenda Manchester United kwa mkopo. Anthony Mateus dos Santos akaondoka Ajax kwenda Manchester United kwa kima cha euro milioni 85, huku Arthur Melo akiondoka Juventus kwenda Liverpool kwa mkopo. Kisha Manuel Akanji akiondoka Borussia Dortmund kwenda Manchester City kwa kima cha euro milioni 15.1. Kisha Jan Badnarek akiondoka kutoka Southampton kwenda Aston Villa kwa mkopo. Lenda Dondenak akiondoka Wolves kwenda Aston Villa kwa ada ambayo bado haijawekwa wazi kwa wanahabari. Kisha Duj Kaleta akiondoka Olympic Marseille kwenda Southampton kwa kima cha euro milioni 8. Kisha Juan Lario kuondoka Manchester City kwenda Southampton kwa kima cha milioni euro 6. Jan Valeri kuondoka Southampton kwenda Angers kwa ada ambayo bado haijawekwa wazi
Andre Gomez kuondoka Everton kwenda Lille kwa mkopo, Carlos Vinicius akiondoka Benfica kwenda Fulham kwa kima cha euro milioni 4, kisha Daniel James akiondoka Leeds kwenda Fulham kwa mkopo. Billy Gilmour wa Chelsea akaondoka kwenda Brighton kwa kima cha euro milioni 9, na nikimalizia ni kwamba William Borges dos Santos akiondoka Corinthians kwenda Fulham kwa ada ambayo bado haijawekwa wazi. Na moja kwa moja msikilizaji, hadi kwenye tetesi za mastaa majuu leo hii ni kwamba mkurugenzi wa Napoli Cristiano Guintoli amesema ya kwamba hakukuwa na makubaliano thabiti kati ya klabu hiyo ya Serie A na mshambuliaji wa Manchester United Mreno Cristiano Ronaldo mwenye umri wa miaka 37. Aidha pia mkurugenzi wa michezo ya Bayern Munich Hassan Salihamidzic pia alisema Ronaldo hakuwa chaguo lao kwa msimu wa joto, kwani walikuwa wakifanya mambo mengine. Tukiachana na hayo masaibu ya Cristiano Ronaldo, msikilizaji, ni kwamba mshambulizi wa Watford Joao Pedro amesema amejitolea kikamilifu kwa klabu baada ya Hornets kukataa ofa kutoka kwa Everton kwa Brazil huyo mwenye umri wa miaka 20. Nikitamatisha msikilizaji, ni kwamba Watford pia walisimama kidete kumbakisha winga wa Senegal Ismail Sarr mwenye umri wa miaka 24 licha ya kupokea ofa ya pauni milioni 25 kutoka Aston Villa na maswali ya kumtaka kutoka kwa Crystal Palace. Kufikia hapo mwana sporti sina la ziada, ningependa nikutakia weekend njema yenye heri na fanaka. Tukutane Jumapili kwenye kipindi chetu kipendacho cha Baraton Sports Center. Jina langu ni Beki Mstaarabu Orina Junior, na kwa niaba ya wote ambao walishughulika ili taarifa hizi ziweze kukufikia nikimtaja AK, tunakutakia mchana mwema.
Baraton FM 103.9.
Breaking news.
Moja kwa moja kutoka meza yetu ya matukio. Haya ni matukio ya hivi punde kama yanavyojiri kwa sasa.
You will refer to the slides. So, when I look at that, you'll find that there's no basis for claiming that the figure that claiming that the Kim's kids were used as the denominator. It's not possible, and it's not there. Also, I would like this court to take note of how the percentages are being played with. That's slide number 10. You will find that whereas the chairman is reported 12,065,803 people voted, who voted represented 56.17 of the total registered voters of 22 that. At paragraph 26 of the replying affidavit, Mr. Sunkuli, using the same number of voters, 12,065,803, but as reported by the chairman, but again it's a different number as a denominator, he arrives at the same percentage. So there you can see how they can play with numbers by changing the denominators and arriving at magical figures. So my members of the Honorable Court, my prayer is that my submissions are that these figures are cooked, they were worked backwards to achieve a certain figure, but fortunately on the Form 34C, the smoking gun is seen. And since figures don't lie, and if the math doesn't add up, then this court should quash the results. We were told about military precision. Military precision is the ability to shoot a bullet with a bullet. That's how a missile downs another missile. That is not what we are saying here. There's no military precision in these figures.
The last petitioner, seventh petitioner, Julia Nyoka Bichege, and others.
May it please you, Melody, Madam CJ, and other members of the court, to go straight to the issue. I've had a lot of Shakespeare and other learned fellas. I went to public schools. I may not be able to remember anything about Shakespeare. But Madam CJ, besides a Greek philosopher known as Plotinus and Adam Smith, my favorite philosopher is called Karl Marx. And one of the most famous quotes that he made is this, that history repeats itself, first as tragedy, second as farce. Now, I go to my issue. Yesterday, Madam CJ, when I was listening to my learned colleague, Mr. George Oraro, Senior Counsel, I could not fail seeing the echoes of 2007 in what is happening today. Madam CJ, in 2007, the secretary to the commission, just like this year, was at the heart of what happened. The secretary was called Suleiman Dongo. Suleiman Chege. The secretary today is called Hussein Marjani. Same problem of numbers. The Kenya law reports would bear, and Mr. Isa Mansour is also here, that I represented Samuel Kivuitu and others when they were removed from office. Now, it turns out that, and listening to my learned colleagues, that just like in 2007, the person who knew why the results are like that was Suleiman Dongo, Suleiman Chege. Listening to the presentation yesterday, it also appears that the only person who really can tell us about these numbers is Hussein Marjani. Second similarity is that both Raila Odinga and William Ruto were at the heart of what happened in the year 2007. But that is not the more important point. The more important point is the differences. The differences were these. In 2007, and under the constitution that was existing that time, the election was announced on the 30th of December 07. And the president sworn on that day assumed office. But the difference this year is this: after 15th courtesy of the new constitutions, on the 15th of August when the declaration was made, the person designated as the winner by Chebukati became president-elect. That's an important distinction. The second most important distinction is this, that the former constitution of Kenya did not have an equivalent of 138 of the constitution. There is that distinction today, which is what I was calling stage 3 of a presidential election. It was never there. The next issue was that in 2007, the presidential elections were held by the High Court under its original jurisdiction and special jurisdictions of elections. This one comes to the Supreme Court, and the basis upon which that is done is on the basis of Article 140 of the Constitution. There is no sitting president who will be appearing before you. There is only a president-elect. Now, my first petitioner, Julia Chege, asked me, because there was a subjective question that was posed in her view by Judge Smoky Wanjala, that how come there was no protestations by these people when they were being given domestic chores? According to Julia Chege, who had to resign from her university job as a lecturer, there is something that needs to be understood, that for 99% of the human population, you want to follow the natural order of things. You don't disturb things. You let them things as they are. So that to Julia Chege, it is important that the court must understand that from your point of view, a lot of you, and she knows that history, have had a previous opportunity to stand up for something, an opportunity to say no. Not everybody has had that opportunity. And therefore, the 4 commissioners for ultimately on the 15th, having the courage to have something to stand for. They are heroines and heroes of this country. We come now talking about heroes to what my professor of criminal law and procedure, Dr. Gedhu Muigai, said. Dr. Muigai, looking straight to the face of this court, said 2 things. A, the problems in our elections is not IEBC, but the candidates. History does not support that conclusion. Second thing he said, B, Wafula Chebukati is a national hero. I don't have to say anything on that. Now, Madam CJ, there is the issue of the word independent, or in the designation of IEBC. The word independent, it is further elaborated by under Section 26 of the IEBC Act. It says IEBC is independent, but shall be subject to public participation and to engage stakeholders in the discharge of its mandate. Madam CJ and members of this court, I flatter myself quite often that I have a reasonable understanding of Kenya's electoral laws. However, Madam CJ, listening to my learned colleagues yesterday, I had a lot of reasons to doubt whether that is true, if what they said is actually the true representation of the law. And in several senses, under Article 81, the election should be simple, accountable, accurate. But until yesterday, my understanding was this, that reference to the commission and Article 81, 86, 88, and 138 of the Constitution triggers the image of Chebukati and 6 others. I've never imagined Marjani and other returning officers when we talk about the commission. B, based on sections 10 and 11 of the IEBC Act, my understanding has always been that the secretary of IEBC is the chief executive, the head of the secretariat, the main employee of the commissioners, who appoints him. But now it appears to be that for purposes of a presidential election, and we heard it from his lawyers, he's actually the main man. Was this what the Constitution wanted it to be? Welcome to the Republic of Kusadikika. I must agree with my learned colleague, Mr. Muthomi Kiathiankulu, that it would appear that since we did our elections, we became some kind of a terrestrial Kusadikika, and several questions arise. When, why, and how? When did this happen? It first happened just before midnight or 9th of August, when we retired to bed. One figure we ought to have had was not known. How many of us voted? That is the when. How did it happen? It happened because on the 8th of August 2022, Wafula Chebukati published that Gazette notice that I talked about. On the face of it, makes the chairman a dictator. No, that is not the issue. If you read it as an instruction manual, it was to give the job to Hussein Marjani. That is what happened. Why did it happen? It happened, and we explained in our affidavits, paragraphs 42 to 45, and what they say that effectively, on the 15th of August, when these elections were declared, from 7:30 to 6 p.m. on that day, the commission, as the commission, had lost effective control under Article 138 of the Constitution. I come because I'm trying to rush myself to the petition, number 7. This petition, Madam CJ, is actually a numbers petition. I didn't want to make a lot of fuss that I would have needed more time, but in case my mouth does not go fast enough, I urge you that you give me a little leeway to conclude what I need to say. The issue is this, Madam CJ. When you pose the question that you posed, how do you have evidence 700,000 people did not vote? You triggered some kind of public participation on my phone. I had many calls. Kipe, why did you just say it's 700? It's about 3 million. But of course I had to tell them, no, we just said 700 because we had some kind of evidence. So it's a big issue, Madam CJ, that you triggered a public participation. So many people don't vote on account of non-enforcement of Regulation 90 by IEBC. Now, for whatever the value is this. I can demonstrate very shortly, and we've done that in our petition and in our, in our affidavit, that when you have a petition based on non-compliance, how do you prove it? We have an affidavit of Julia Chege that basically has not been controverted. She says where she was voting. She was voting as an MP she was contesting the office of Kangema. And she said how she interacted with election officials. There were no affidavits sworn by the commissions to say those interactions she talked about were not true. But more importantly is this. When you say Regulation 90 says you are going to publish notices on how election officials and security officers are going to vote, IEBC needed to do a very simple thing. Namely, what did you publish to implement it? If you didn't publish anything to implement it, you are responsible for non-compliance. How do you treat non-compliance? You tell the Supreme Court. We could not be able to have non-compliance for reason A, B, C, D. Then the Supreme Court may decide to excuse you or not. But in the absence of that, non-compliance has been proven. What is the effect of this non-compliance? We have stated in our further affidavit, it's a numbers thing. If 700,000 people did not vote and you adjust it whichever way you want, you will still have a figure of 300,000. So that the long and short of it, my ladies and my lords, is this. Unless you excuse IEBC, and they did not ask you to excuse them, then you must find that the numbers in petition number 7 could have altered if those people had voted the results of the general election. And therefore, it is not permissible for anybody to be able to say, oh, it's a numbers thing. Petitioners brought no number. We brought numbers, and there was no response. We come to the issues of the issues of the procedure under Article 138. Under Article 138, that's one of the best done judgments that I've read. I've read it many times. It was written by, at least Judge Youko was there writing it. Catherine Mantoinoti was there. He was my people master. One of the best written judgments. I've read it many times. But yesterday, it somehow appeared I don't understand these things. So I read one more time yesterday night. And I thought, I think I understand what it says. So it was violated in 3 major ways, my lady. Number one is this, issues of the voter turnout. The issues of the voter turnout until yesterday, I thought is usually settled before the elections through the gazettement of a voters register. For these elections, it was done on the 21st of June 2022 through Gazette number 7290. But listening to my learned colleague, Mr. Somane, it would appear that fairly educated people like James Orengo, Firoz Noroji, Paul Mwangi can actually write petitions, and they were told in open court they did not understand what is all this about Article 190. And I also shuddered that if they didn't understand, probably I also did not. The second failure is this. In short, I'm saying the register cannot be mysterious. If the register is mysterious, the election is not simple, does not meet the requirement of Articles 81 and 86. Number two, the stoppage of the public display. I didn't hear a straight answer to that. Now that there was no straight answer to the issues of the failure of results and the 27 were not read, that goes straight to the root of the procedure under 138. If that was not done, my lords, there is no way in which you can be able to say the election was valid. For a simple reason, which is this. When, can I have 2 minutes? 2 minutes. Yes, I can do it in 2 minutes. For the simple reason that we were dealing with under Article, for the conclusion, the whole point about Article 138 is that the procedure must be concluded. If it is disrupted, you have to hold that Article 138 was violated. The next issue is this, the third one. We talked about the issue of effective control. If you are convinced by what you have heard, and we have gone through this in the last 2-3 days, that IEBC lost effective control from 7:30 on the 15th to 6 p.m. when the results were read, there can be no basis for this court to say anyone was validly elected as president of Kenya. My learned colleague, Mr. Fred Ngatia, whom I respect a lot, said that William Ruto won these elections fair and square. That expression, fair and square, to my mind, comes from, as I understood, the famous judgment where Judge Madan was in the Githunguri case, where the basic point was this, that certain issues may happen that may make even a person who on the face of it could have been liable for criminal offenses not to be properly tried. And therefore they said it makes any conviction to be bad in law. You do not have a fair and square deal. Under Article 138, Raila Odinga, the other surrogate petitioners, they need a fair and square deal that their votes were not enough. Finally, my lady, the Chief Justice, Article 138 must not die in your hands. We are most obliged.
I think that brings us to the end of... Yes, that brings us to the end of Rejoice Us. We are looking at Senior Counsel, Mr. Mwite, but we know very well your clients were respondents. It was only for the under representation that we allowed them to come just after the petitioners. They do not have a right of rejoinder.
Chief Justice, I am acutely aware of the time constraints within which this honorable court must adjudicate on this petition. And may I say that this honorable court is entitled, suo motu, to decide that the 14 days specified in Article 140 mean 14 working days. Yes, to exclude Saturday, Sunday, and public holidays. You can do that, suo motu. I am pleading, Chief Justice, I'm pleading on behalf of the 4 commissioners. I plead They have had very, very little time in this court. I plead.
Well, that is why I was looking at you with the questioning eye, because there were some questions also which were asked. And they need to be responded to.
Yes, those are the ones. I'm just pleading.
Yes.
Allow my colleague Mansu Issa some 8 minutes, and Dr. Arroa some 3 minutes, and yours truly some 2 minutes only.
That is 15 minutes.
Because
to answer those questions.
Because, Chief Justice,
yes,
those questions directed at those 4 commissioners are very important. And
Thank
when
you.
others were answering questions,
Yeah.
a lot of maligning, a lot of... Please give them that opportunity to have their case stated. They are the majority in that commission.
Thank you, Senior Counsel. I
thank
think we've heard your plea because we asked questions. So we'll give them 15 minutes to answer, not now. We want to take a break. And immediately we finish, there was an issue raised by Senior Counsel Gatia responding to some 2 Forms 34, and you asked for 5 minutes. And then we will give the parties 15 minutes, not all the parties, the ones who are connected with the discovery and the scrutiny, 15 minutes in the afternoon to respond to the report.
I request, Madam Chief Justice, may I request 5 minutes for the Commission, because we are the custodians of the form, the legitimate forms.
Yes.
And my learned friend, Mr. Orengo, needs his lunch now. He's heckling.
Okay, we'll give you 5 minutes, and the court will arise.
Baraton FM 103.9.
Hayo yamekuwa ni matukio ya hivi punde kutoka meza yetu ya matukio Baraton FM. Fresh kila wakati. Baraton FM, muziki unayoipenda kila mara, kila saa.
These beats are hot. In the mix with the baddest DJ.
Nakushukuru ewe Mungu, ni mengi umenibarikia, kwa yote umenitendea, tangu kuzaliwa kwangu. Lakini leo Baba, ninalo jambo moja nataka nikushukuru kwalo. Zawadi ya mzazi wangu ni baraka ilinganishwe na kitu. Kwa hayo ewe Mungu shukuriwa. Nakushukuru ewe Mungu, ni mengi umenibarikia, kwa yote umenitendea, tangu kuzaliwa kwangu. Lakini leo Baba, ninalo jambo moja nataka nikushukuru kwalo. Zawadi ya mzazi wangu ni baraka ilinganishwe na kitu. Kwa hayo ewe Mungu shukuriwa. Heshimu mzazi, Mungu kakupa huyo jinsi alivyo. Shukuru Mungu wako, maana wengine hawana wazazi, wengine waliachwa yatima wako hata awe vipi, hakuna mwingine kama yeye. Baraka tutapokea na siku nyingi za maisha yetu. Baraka tutapokea na siku nyingi za maisha yetu. Heshimu mzazi, Mungu kakupa huyo jinsi alivyo. Shukuru Mungu wako, maana wengine hawana wazazi, wengine waliachwa yatima wadogo sana kujitegemea wenyewe. Mzazi wako hata awe vipi, hakuna mwingine kama yeye. Baraka tutapokea na siku nyingi za maisha yetu. Baraka tutapokea na siku nyingi za maisha yetu.
Kajinyima mazuri ili kukupa wewe maisha ya kutamanika. Wengine wanaishi maisha ya fukara ili sisi tuweze kufaulu. Maadili mema wametufundisha wazazi wetu, yazingatie na usimsahau mzazi wako. Muda mwingi mzazi kajinyima mazuri ili kukupa wewe maisha ya kutamanika.
Wengine wanaishi maisha ya fukara ili sisi tuweze kufaulu.
Maadili mema wametufundisha wazazi wetu, yazingatie na usimsahau mzazi wako. Heshimu mzazi, Mungu kakupa huyo jinsi alivyo. Shukuru Mungu wako, maana wengine hawana wazazi, wengine waliachwa yatima wadogo sana kujitegemea wenyewe. Mzazi wako hata awe vipi, hakuna mwingine kama yeye. Baraka tutapokea na siku nyingi za maisha yetu. Baraka tutapokea na siku nyingi za maisha yetu. Heshimu mzazi, Mungu kakupa huyo jinsi alivyo. Shukuru Mungu wako, maana wengine hawana wazazi, wengine waliachwa yatima wadogo sana kujitegemea wenyewe. Mzazi wako hata awe vipi, hakuna mwingine kama yeye. Baraka tutapokea na siku nyingi za maisha yetu. Baraka tutapokea na siku nyingi za maisha yetu. Heshimu mzazi, Mungu kakupa huyo jinsi alivyo. Shukuru Mungu wako, maana wengine hawana wazazi, wengine waliachwa yatima wadogo sana kujitegemea wenyewe. Mzazi wako hata awe vipi, hakuna mwingine kama yeye. Baraka tutapokea na siku nyingi za maisha yetu. Baraka tutapokea na siku nyingi za maisha yetu.
tengwan name eunyu chabe Jehova ole abunati abaiboitu enoret agote atataren komoi tengwan name eunyu kinyolile chengo maswektul agumagigije kitaptapeni agumabetwega magune.
Nguna ko sait sisit nebo bet eng Baraton FM 101.9. Tugetab University of Eastern Africa, sabetab nguno ak ek sabet nenyone.
Tumeona mkono wake Bwana, mengi mazuri tumeyaona, Mungu umetenda, ni kweli wewe muweza. Ulitamka vitu vikawa, neno tulatosha, ukisema umetenda. Kawatoa utumwani, watumishi wako umewapa yote waombayo, ikiwa umependezwa. Uamualo hakuna wakulipinga, hakika we ni Mungu wa vyote. Unatawala dunia na vilivyomo, makuu umeyatenda. Jehova, hakika tumeuona Baba, mkono wako Bwana, kweli matendo yako Bwana ni makuu, na umetutoa mbali kweli, ukatushika mkono.
Ameche boroini sikobit atacha kokeny chekitupche eng kipindini mameto Jehova biik chik ako mametoi. Wikit konye ko kokinetkei mising, kemeche kenai kokyaib nekit dakikaishek 10 asikobit awekyi kongoi biik cheipchinit kipindini kanetisioni. Wikit nekonye konyeketiny kurgetab Johana ak nebo Efesoek ak nebo Petro nemakitar. Nga kiking'olole akobo kipinditab sarunet ak kabatisanet, ko kiechen ng'alechatak. Ko ameche aib boroinik kweny asikobit atachak eng kipindini. Ko ongesa Kiptayat Jehova nisobe koikeny eku kanetindenyo eng betune rani, akitebi kobotech akoi koikituch ng'ainetab Jeiso netindenyo. Amen. Nemi kiboto komake akosimyon Delilei kobun kanisetab Seventh-day Adventist eng Tirin. Eng chamanikab Jehova kitinye Tirin konyil 3. Mi Tirin nabunu nemi Sang'alo, ako mi Tirin age nemite Kaptin, ako mite Tirin age nemite Sirono. Nguno ko mobetye mising. Chi nemeche inyorwo ko namba chechuket ko 0722 865 148. Ko Airtel ko 0733 249 060. Ko mebirwo nguno akoi koyatar. Alen kongoi mising sobet kondoiywak Jehova kochamat. Wikit konye ko ng'alale akobo kitabutab Petro kora, nga ko kikesune kitabutab Yohana 17 aite 3 nekomwoe kolen ak ni sobondab koigeny ale konai Jehova nenyendet inyegei ak Yesu Kristo nekiyobu koman. Sobondab koigeny ko kenai Jehova, sobondab koigeny ko kenai Jesu, ma sobondab koigeny ina. Sobondab koigeny kora ko inai Bible. Ameche isir atebetab dinit asikobit kondoun Jehova, kondoiwo kot keityi yeboch kurset nekikure Jehova achek tugul, asikobit koyae Jehova keiku lagokchi. Ko eng wikit konye kongami kitabutab Petro ko lengo nenyu komu kong'alale sorunet ak kabasanet, ko kabasanet ko ngisoman eng Petro nebo netai 3:21 kole kerkeindab tuguchutok ko kabatisanet nasorwok akine eng betusiechu, makele istoetab simtab borto ako walunetab kabwatet nemie netokyingei Jehova eng etietab Jesu Kristo. Ko kiyach nga kikibwa kot konamech sait ko katorchinet nyu notok nebo akobo keng'alale akobo salvation ak baptism, sarunet ak kabatisanet. Ko kikateb ing yo Bible kole ang'o neyoywok nea ngotomeche mising kit nemie ng'o noto is aywok noto ya ngotomeche mising kit noto mie. Taman ak ang'wan ako ngotonyalili akobo imanda, aikas ngotonyalili akobo imanda amu mi biik chekanyalilik chenyalili biik akobo imani. Ngotingiamte logoiwek chemiach komi chi nyalilin, melen sinye chito nabirin nekaiyaaka ako ndeamtei tekas keaulu keto kele toka kenyamte nyone nenyamtei omenget ile mi kaniset ake kane komelen uchochezi, komelen biikab yotok ako biik chemite kanisa yotok, kaniset nemi yotok kole kanyone bak komanyo konyor biik chechang. Chama akere tiong'ik cho kikure wild beast chau tuga chachang nea chatebe Masai Mara kroseni kobendi Serengeti akobwane Kenya. Ko wild beast chu komi kirukik, ko ngichunde kirkit age tugul kokweni chechik cheiywokik ak rorwek, wendi round kwa round komasi nyokwa round kotuiyo kwa round kotuiyo. Kicham alenin kokingoe Masai Mara amwane kwan derevain kokiakwerie basit bas kokibe sekeben yundo kibe betusiek aeng ketebe kites chikimutech kelechi lion korotwechu rwotichu kolaja ribe territory nenywa alia kole mameche kot konyo kirkit age nebo biut age ngoketi kolabat korok kwa raon ako ngora age kama kochutkei ak chun ipkowek kon nyokonam kakyu kale kopete kiyo kale mutai kokitoi sabaret kele kakiba Serengeti al kemeto mitindo inoto ake kit agenge kabisa akeba tugul akinde moek kwen akekirosen Masai Mara akeba ole kibendi ale kotuitos koibu kit agenge ko ngiker yekamwa kole kale ngotonyalili imanda ngotonyalili ako ngot onyalili akobo imanda koboiboi amoywei kamuisenwa airo ngot kenyalili akobo imanita kale kokiboiboi kochi kakateb ale kochi inyalilech kochi cheteptono chutachu mami chi maani ane ale akot ndawakenin chito nebo sang netom konyo kanisa komawakenin buch much kowakenin amu meseiya anan ko chi nekikomwaitegei ane ale abo kanisetab Seventh Day Adventist lakini kongyachuchuke komameche chi netokotiechi area ninyo kikonech Jehova kelewen ako kile Jehova kande tuguk aeng taing'wong meet ak ne ak sobet sasa uchaguzi ni yetu emoni ko manenyo bo chi ongasomanu kit nekonye aitu ng'olyo nekale ako okonyit Kristo koek kiptaiyat netilil eng mugulelwekwok netai ongekonyit Jesu Kristo koek kiptaiyat netilil eng mugulelwekwok yun the past point ongekonyit ang ni sabandab koigeny ale konai ninyendet inye Jehova ak Jesu Kristo nekiyo koteshi Petro akine kole ako okonyit Kristo koek kiptaiyat netilil makiptaiyat buch makiptaiyat no ilen kianai Jesu koek yetindetab sobondanyu makiptaiyat no mwoe arap tilile kianai Jesu koek yetindetab sobondanyu manotok okonyit koek netilil airo kale mugulelwekwok namba aeng akoeku chechobotin kotugul owolchi chi age tugul netebenok ng'olyo akobo kamang'unet nemitei eng okwek ne neingen ngonyito kaniseng'ung iwolchine notok iborchi kamang'unetab kaniseng'ung ile kamang'unet koendi kuni ak kuni ak kuni ikochi kolapkei tai ikochi konai tai amat kewalu ng'alekab bukuit kosubkei ak ole kibwotitei sikerat biik alak chekakyi ngobwoni kokimeche kipsengwet konaikere biik alak kokurosani mutai komi kaniset tun ikere kokurosani kilya kole acha kianai tebutiet kou tundelen ikere oroni kakurosani kowendi kimase kilya kole kianai kuni kirosani biik kunot kirosani biik kunot ako dango kurosani ameche koneta mi tupchenyu nekikirosen mameche amwa kainet lakini ameche amwa kwa amdoindet kwa arap tilile ale ndatun ibanyoru ameche ne nekikochi kokirosen kinai ne kongekoshine koma haleluya kwani ko nini iywei ne amu atinye muguleldanyu ale ningen imwoiwo ko ngobo manchekuk komasawa ngobo manchechuk komasawa chechechuk anyun chechoto ko logoiwek chemiach sawa ko abwate ale ngeno tupchonotok mi kokwet yun nekingeamdoi logoiwek chemiach ko kikanai logoiwek chu. Ko makiete chito yekamach kwo. Amache akot biik chekakas retieni ile kamwa chi nekele Arap Tilile chorwenyi nekingoamdoi logoiwek chemiach Arap Tilile betusiek alak eng wuya konae logoiwek chemiach yo. Oyaptochi biikab kokwet ng'oliondonoto akilechi yoto koiwe kokoinai yetya iborchi biik alak akinye mewe kityas. Amache akine nyipkoborwo amu ki chorwenyu amache sakine sinyipkoborwo. Makiunye ng'alechu ko amu kamwa kitabutab Paulo kole kitabutab Petro netabo 3 kala ako okonyit Kristo koek kiptayat netilil eng mugulelwekwok. Ako eku chechobotin kotugul owolchi chi tugul netebenak ng'olyo akobo kamang'unet nemitei ng'okwek. Kamang'unet noto tinye ng'okwek iwolchi. Kuniker kaboisie example notok chitab kokwet, chito nemi kokwet yun ne chorwenyu mame koe kainet abwati ale ame sikonai kityo taolechi kityo komwa Arap Tilile konai kole angingwamta Arap Tilile chichi kokinai logoiwek chemiach. Kale wolchi chi tugul kule tebenok amu komwoiwo chorwenyu komangen ng'alechatak kokongomwoiwo ng'alechatak ameche anai kip konai akine. Masawa mine melen akot ndakituitosi ak werato komelen ale salechi wekele ale melen salyochi le lakini ameche koborwo kit nekinai. Ngomaman kosir yomi masawa kwani ko nini? Amus kamwa kurketab Petro maane oiku chechobotin kotugul owolchi chi age tugul netebenak ng'olyo akobo kamang'unet nemitei ng'okwek ne what is your hope ne kamang'unet neitinye nekinyoru kosir yotok siwendi. Akot ngochi chito kotebena kiamune sawa sebendo awolchini amune kiang'ete sane Roman. Kot komi chito nikimokomeche sebendei na chito nebo sebendei ko kiane mami chi age kingokose takbar chi nebo sebendei lakini ra mami totok. Lakini ako ngonyo chito age tugul nyokotebena kwa ready awolchi ale kisoiwe kokwamuni ang no mameche somutai koulung'onchi. Ko ngot komi age netinye chi age netinye ng'olyo nesirei yekianane itoreto kora amu emoni kemeche bororyetab kipsengwet mami age nekemeche. Ako kikamwa eng kipindisiek chuk kikosirto ale taamiu amu tomo anyoru yeto yesirei. Ko ngakas chorwenyu kele kokonyor yeto yesirei yu ameche age nepkoborwo yoto. Ko making'alal masirutik mine kit nemameche as kityo konyiibwo eng oretab kabwatutikuk chemaibesene Bible noto nemaani. Lakini ngotisomonwo Bible akasomanun kwani mine ochoboke oeku chechobotin akowolchi chi tugul netebenak ng'olyo akobo kamang'unet nemitei eng ng'okwek. Ako eng ne? Ako eng talasiet ak kaiweisiet. Notok kityo nasome. Akot kotugul akot eng kamtautik chechuk ye tugul yawendoti anan ko tugul yo aboisie talasiet ak kaming'inetab kei. Makiboisie teket ng'alechu, makibirtogei. Sikobit kenai akobo sarunet ak kabasanet ko makibirtochingei ng'alechu. Kinetigei pole kotatun inai akobo imani. Amenetkei buch ak itepche buch kou notok, inetkei ak isoe. Kinetigei ak isoe. Sikobit kokonin Jehova oret Lakini ko ngoti birtegei ak imach iibu mageng'ung ak ile ameche ane koike chito anom ko kakoik chekukyo. Koite 16 otinye kabwatet nemie siyekitomok. Kale otinye kabwatet nemie siyekitomok kokochin kolelan ichek chemwoitoe ng'alek kyach atebeng'wong nemie eng Kristo Jesu. Amu ngokakekonyit Jesu Kristo koek kiptayat netilil eng mugulelwekyok ak keeku chechobotin kotugul kewolchi chi tugul netebenech ng'olyo akobo kamang'unet nemitei eng achek. Ako yekiwolchini kewolchin tolosiet ak kewolchin oretab kayweisiet. Kale ketinye kabwatet nemie anyun eng yotok. Kale sindabitu biik cheitomok. Kale kokochin kolelan ichek. Kokochin ichek kolelan. Chemwoite ng'alek kyach atebeng'wong nemie eng Kristo Jesu. Kale ndio sisi tutaifisha wale. Yekaiwalu kit eng tolosiet, yekaiwalu kit eng kayweisiet akile Jehova toreto. Mekanyawal asawal eng katebetab borto ng'olyondoni. Ingawal kosubkei ak sirutik chetililen. Ako ngomengen kurganata komengen ilechi Jehova toreto mongen kurgani. Ako yowalchini kak chito ilechi mongen kurganata kwearinyo tomo akuye ngoba research situn nyekeng'alal. Notok kon cheng'etab oret nebo sobondab koigeny. Sobit keitchi sorunet ak kabatisanet. Keitchi sorunet. Masorunet no imwoe len kianai Jesu koik yetindetab sobondanyun. Masorunet no imwoe len kianai Jesu koik yetindetab sobondanyun. No, it is beyond that. Makabatisanet na kingowoy no kikibasana eng kanisa akure notok kakibasana. Kimeche kabatisanet ake nebo orit newendi tai. Kale kale ketinye kabwatet nemie. Kale sikomutandet tomok biik. Kale eng ng'alek kyach kale kenyorwo kotinye atebet nemie. Kas koite 17. Komwa 17 kole ami Petro netai somok aendi kuna 17. Amu kaikai ngot ko notok maketab Jehova onyalilye amu oe nemie kosir yoe ne. Kale ko ngot ko usok bichu ko kaikai. Airo. Kale ko ngot ko notok konye ko maketab Jehova. Ero. Ningikere kai kitemene kai Jesu kosorin. Alan kilene Jehova. Kosor Stefano ya kikiloche. Kale kikiloche Stefano kondochin Saul. Nikitun ko wala koek Paulo. Niyonye kinyokosirwech kitabusiek chekisomani rani. Kiker kitemene Jehova kosor. Haja ilaja matemene. Lakini kimeche kwaak maketab Jehova. Uroni ng'olyot age. Kakonyo chepyosetab Herod kobai kaka eng yu. Konyo Johana kolech Johana makararan ng'olyono yoe chepyosoni. Tun koit kenam chichi Johana ini. Ko kimi betut nekibo igorta neinegei banquet nekibo state. Nyikwai tangsi chepyoset lakwetab Herod nebo kwong'ut. Ipkecham nebo kwong'ut lakwani kele ing'wen ngwa koek ain dansi kabilet age keba kewe. Kolechi kwan lakwenyu amu kakas kaineng'ung kakwo barak. Som kit age tugul neimeche. Ne nimeche sakonin. Kakonda baunatet inyoru. Koekei lakwet koek. Ipkolechi mama kakekono kelecho som ki age tugul neimeche. Kolechi kamet, ng'eti. Mesom baunat, amesom ki age tugul. Ng'olen laitoriat kun. Kulechi arane mama. Kule bilechi baba ameche keibwa metitab Johana eng sanit akoi yu. Komwa kit kinyume Kole ameche keib metitab Johana. Johana ini ko nekakoyokto biik. Kolechi Olipolechi Jeiso ami korkoret kokerata. Kokimeche Johana konyo Jeiso asikobit nyikitya Johana amu mi korkoret. Ako kakosike Johana kole rais koboro bichu. Kolechi bomwochi Jeiso, lechi ami kabisa. Nyanye kemwa Jeiso kolechi kole ne Jeiso? Ibolechi tesetai boisiet kerto chekokoryotin ako kostoi biik chekoming'otin. Lechi tesetai kole boisiet hakuna haja mami ng'alayo. Komait ng'olyondoni ne chepyosoni akile ibileite ameche keib metitab Johana eng sanit akoi yu. Kele ale kakole cheptong'op keib metitab Johana, kipketil Johana. Ako kakikoito message kikoi Jeiso kelech oroni ami korkoret onyo obwa kabisa nyekesorwo. Ko ngikichop tangsit ko matekan Jeiso in step age tugul kole lechi tesetai boisietab Mungu. Ateb tebutiet kitemene Jehova kwai boisiet kilaja. Kaso noto amune sikase komwa kole amu kaikai ngot kou noto maketab Jehova onyolilye amu oe nemie kosir yoe nea. Ngot ko maketab Jehova kokebun nyalilda kou notok kale ko kaikai kosir iwe kakiyai nea ako testai ainoto mie ta kityo bora kazi ya Mungu inafanya nini inaendelea. Milin Mungu kokeoni magere how strong you are in Jesus. What God cares kit ne keoni nirigere Jehova kotugul ko ibet sobondab koige. Ko kaikai ibun nyalilda ak tun imwa en betut nebo let kui kimwa Stefano Jehova nyoche katichek yutolacha chu mengen kit neoe kala kokoit akoru kityo Stefano akoik let nebo yoto. Noto kit nemeche Jehova komeche kit kaaneng'ung. Lakini banyechu chokyi komakinyalili, banyechu chokyi komakibirei, banyechu chokyi komatesani chitugul, tesani setani. Banyechu chokyi komyandos kuamyani chitugul. Ngap komi chito kole kyaan Mungu kolya sikokona myan. Kole kyaan Mungu kabisa lakini kolya konama kansa. Namin kansa my friend. Awondemi kanisa netya no matter how faithful you are. Kansa ko kansa nyo kikikochi kwam banyechu myondo kemyoni. Ako ndai faithful nebo kwang'ut. Nga kimwa bukoit kole som sikelyanyi, som sikekonin. Ko ngapi som kit akatokomeche Jehova koteyai boisiet kele ngotokostogei kansa. Ako mana chi koker Jehova tai kole makonyolu koteiwe kosir yotok beyond that margin. Kole ngobekune boisieng'ung yo kole. Ker Paulo. Kiyai boisiet Paulo kwamda eng Asia tugul. Betut nikiwendi Rome. Komwa Paulo kole awendi as. Akolecho natamin miryet achawe. Uni maiweksei. Kewo ketoi keng'ololji eng Troa. Paulo mewe metyech. Keng'ololji eng emetab Troa keleji Paulo kabisa metye kabisa korono ngai kasin ngotaka kaleji ndamin miryet mewe. Ko mewe. Omwa ne Paulo kole achobot akotebame. If at all, if that is the case, ngotokaka college ka atinye tamirmiriet nelechino ui. Komame kotekerin kit nekakomwa tamirmiriet kole lion. Ui, lakini akokosyini kas korotik ale baba weksei. Aikere. Kele kete eng Troa kelech mewe. Kowal Paulo ngolyot agenge. Achobot akotebame we. Akobo logoiwek chemyach. Kero Mungu koibun eng etunatet nebo logoiwek chemyach akoi yakait. Ko ngot koker kenyisiek 10 kole ngopkoite yo kokakobut chichi akobuti nemakoeksei. Unaweza lala. Ako mi chito nekekochin koek kieleleso newendi akoi tun ipkolil. Ako mi chito nekekochin ipkotar akot kenyisiek 90, 80, 70. Komi nemakikochin amu ngin Kiptayat inegei panganutik chemi. Konikasomwa kole kaikai anyun kale ngot ko noto maketab Jehova onyalilye amu oe nemie kosir noe nea. Wala kaikai. Kama ni mapenzi yake Mungu upate kuteswa ni heri kuliko kutenda mabaya. That is God's word. Ngoliot age koite 18 amu kime Kristo akine konyil agenge akobo tengekwokik. Inendet nebo imanda akobo chemabo imanda asikobit komutyech Jehova nekikibar eng borto ako kikisob eng tamirmiriet. This is another dimension. Kama kekonas nguno ole beto logoiwek chemiach eng yu. Yutas yakameche atiny asikobit kenai akobo ubatizo sasa. Konianye komwas kole eng yu kole eng meetab Jesu Kristo ko kime konyil agenge. Ako meet sokome konyil agenge ko kime akobo tengekwokik. Airo. Inendet nebo imanda kime Jesu Kristo ni ko kibo imanda. Ako bangicho komechi icheket chikimo kobo imanda. Ne noto ko inye ak ane rani. Kale sikobit komutyi Jehova. Ne Jesu ini ko nekikibar eng borto. Ako kikisob eng tamirmiriet. Ne Jesu ini ko kikibar eng borto. Ako kikisob eng tamirmiriet. Kale ko kelya kasanyun yuto yekebokitye yemakikuitosi. Kale kiwa eng noto akine koamchi tamirmirik chekimi eng korkoret, chekimi korkoret. Kale eng noto anyun akine kale koamchi tamirmirik chekimi korkoret. Kale keelewan ng'oliondono. Ndekere ng'oliondono kokanamkei 1920. Waite 20. Kale chikimokokase it eng tai. Ye kikanye muitaetab Jehova eng betusiekab Noah. Ye kingeyai melit nekikisorune cheng'ering eng beek chotok ko ki biik 8. Kale ne kurgani. Ngisoman kurgani kou ya king'et Jeiso kele kango kakebar amu kame chi chebo imanda komechi chi nebo imanda. Kou ya kang'et Jeiso akome kongomi kererit ipkong'et eng oretab kiptamirmiri akoek let akoi enzi nikibo Noah. Yekingamtoi biik kele nyone maranet akolechi biik kosiku kuyo kiwo orit kobun kale kilen eng Nandi oik amu eng kachek akile kingouwen Nandi kong'ete olimbo Taptengele ale kele oba olimbo Kabiyet ole Nandi alake sekelyochi oik chok chekimechi oli kole acha ngouwe kobune oik ng'ony. Ele ngouwe kobune oik ng'ony. Komea Nandi kou ndabuch imeche kou uyo kole mi oik chok oli. Kou ya kiwa Jeiso kobun oik kobunu kibun Jeiso koike oindet oik kobun ng'ony akoi betusiek chekibo Jeiso chekibo Noah. Akwamtochi biik eng olinda osiku nyone maranet osiku. Dun kong'ete Jeiso betutab somok kong'etyin kong'ete che betutab somok eng betutab somok noto ko betutab tai amu kole king'ete chebo pili. Kou eng betusiek chotok somok ko kiwek kobun oik akoi let koek kenyisiek chebo let kotup kwamtochi tamirmirik chekibat kinye kot kosib bichotok. Nenginyoru biik alak kong'alale kurgani komwae kolen akot betusiek chekibo Noah kotun chang biik chesugu amu kingome Jesu Kristo kokiwek akipkwamtochi kobun oik akoi betusiek chekibo Noah asikobit kwamta. No, ajawe. Maunoto kurgana. Kurgani kokameche koborwech kolejechi yekakenai akobo Jesu Kristo ini. Jesu Kristo ni kime konyil agenge akobo tengekwokikyok. Ne inendet ko nebo imanda akobo chebo imanda. Ko kime sikobit komutyech achek imandab Jehova. Airo. Kale nekikibar eng borto ako kikisob eng tamirmiriet. Kale ko eng atebonotok bo tamirmiriet tamirmirionotok. Airo. Kale kwamchi tamirmirik chekimi korkoret. Chekimokokase it eng tai yekikanye muitaetab Jehova eng betusiekab Noah. Kakimwa kele alawalunde yanung'yu. Yes. Ngawal kouni. Kebe kitabutab sikobit kenam kakurganaton kongebe kitabutab Ng'ang'utiet 2:1. Ikase kelen sirchi malaikayat nemi kanisetab Efeso. Tekase ko tamirmirionotok kiboisiei ne notok kwamtochin kanisetab Efeso ko kitoi kong'ete 31 akoi kenyitab 200. Kotoigei technology age nekinyokotestai technology age ko niking'ete ko nebo Smyrna. Ngamwa kouni kiembeisiek chekibo tai ko kingeamdoi logoiwek chemiach ko kikiamdoe kutit. Kikiamdoe kutit. Kimokomi spikait. Kele atebetab keamdoi logoiwek chemiach eng kutit ko kitar beisiek ata. Kitar kenyisiek ata keamdoe kutit. Situn konyone spikait nekeng'olole ko kiboisie kutit. Ako kingotom koit amdaet nekiboisie kutit ko tos kikiboisie ne atkinye. Kele enzi nekitai ko king'ololi Jehova kokuyo king'ololdos Musa ak Jehova kimni. Akole ilechi lagokab Israel, ilechi kunotok. Akoi tun koistogei enzi technology nekibo betusiechotok kobwa amtoik kikinyokwamtoi kwa kotesaya chekiamtoi eng kutit chemakokase tugetab Mungu kou chekikase kou chekibo betusiek chekibo Musa. Kowalak betusiek. Achekas ko kinyekenyoru as kotekeamdoi kutit. Weng tunda kase koitu lo speaker. Yekele eng speakait, alo, okase logoiwek chemiach. Wei. Ako kitom koit anyun retioit neteb rokota. Kitom koit, kicham kityo kelen kityo alo, weng kowalak. Koit speakait akinde teb rokota. Mutete kase tunge uskon chorwenyu maikerau ina ile kakawe Jerusalem. Kele neno. Kele kakokotestai soin. Kinde tuguk chetiendos. Konyo ensit nebo speakait akotar kenyisiek kile. Konyo ensit nebo speakait akinde tebrokot akotar kenyisiek kile. Rani anyun kokokewalake kimira chekile PowerPoint. Mi laptopit yu ikere kurkotik eng projectait ak ikere chito neamdoi ak ikere ne ko ngemwa kurget yani kokewal sikokere itit kokase itit kokere konda kowalak ensit notok. Kokergei as ak Efeso ak Smyrna eng kanisosiek tisab ak Pergamo ak cho tugul cho. Kele kibois ensini nebo Efeso nekibat kinye kotom koit digital. Ko kibois kenyisiek kile asikoit nekile. ko kerkas ang ng'olyondone Petras nakang'alale Petro nakole kiwo eng notok akine kwamchi tamirmirik chekimi korkoret chekimokokose it eng tai yekikonye muitaetab Jehova eng betusiekab Noa yekingeyai melit ko kikisarune biik 8 eng notok komeche koleche ine tamirmiriet nekiboisie eng betusiek chekiche chekimwoe Noa kolen kait emet kimeche komaran beek osarugei obwa melini kwamu kitom kororopta biik kolen lene Noa ini okas kimaran beeko kole mese komo ngele korobon kou nenyi amu kibesi chotok melen chakorobonis kicham kityo saisiekab karon komi rewot nakuren chumbek nekile tiu nikikochin konun emet tab kol kolil asista mami ropta tun kakobata ensit notok koitas kele omtachi biik amu koketengekta emet olechi kosik biik amu meche sikorobon akomaran emet obwat chito kole akile sikorobon sikomaran emet kale une kiyot anyun kale korot neune tiony neune koroi angiwe kase maranani kole chito acha mongen akot akose akot akine ni akile mini kele Noa akile meche komaran emet kokwong anyun nitok anyun kale kobetyi ndokokebotyi bandek kobotyi wai lagok akile kwamta Noa kenyisiek 120 ensit notok kwamta kenyisiek 120 komwa asingyu kole eng beisiekab Petro konyo Jeiso akot akine nyokoboisie mtindo inotok konaikase komwa kolen kou lekiu eng betusiek chikibo Noa kale kikikoito lagok kale kikilionwek kale kotun nyone Jeiso keyoe kou notok kele tamirmirionotok nekyokere kokiwo Jeiso ko important that kind of spirit ma spirit tamirmiriet that kind of spirit of preaching akonyo kotu eng betusiechu nekingomee Jeiso koborto Jeiso logoiwek chemiach kimnatetab tamirmiriet nekimi kimnatonotok betusiechu kibo Noa akonyo kwamta nyu makele kingwa kererit kou yakibunoi kotun kipkwamtochi biik chekimi beisiekab kap Noa maunotok komwa as chichi kole yakaokuye akobo sarunet yakaokuye onai kabatisanet nebo neinegei nema kabasanet naiwendoino ne kabasanet nebo tamirmiriet netilil ak maat nengesomani yu kokakikuye komwa koitetab 21 angot komakikuye ngalechu kas koitetab 21 kerkeindab tuguchu ko kabatisanet nesarwok akine eng betusiechu kobo kerkeindab tuguchu ko kabatisanet ne kabatisananatak ko kainai ile mawa Jeiso kobunoik kotub kwamtochi biik chikibo kap Noa lakini kikiib tabiet nebo tamirmiriet technology yani kakiib technology nekibo beisiekab Noa konyo akoi beisiekab Jeiso yotok kimi Jeiso akoboisie technology notok akoi tun konyo Jeiso banda nebo oeng kale tun kimuti ake kingoe beek kimuti ake kong'et ake kale tun bire beek kale kimuti ake kong'et ake kale kale ensit notok tun ikoito lagokwak kitun kotunishe werikwak kale akonyo Jeiso akochechek kubanda nebo oeng kale akochechek kole kap kale tap kenyeche kale ngotaiwariri ibire tateketepye koi kelorono kikotule emet kalya nyone Jeiso banda nebo oeng kale kotun rirtos biik alak betunoto kole angi Jeiso kaap koe karaka kunitoni kale kuokyo biik rirek chemami kuyo kiwokyo eng beisiek chikibo Noa nokile akot chito nekiyai melit ko kiwach nga kimwa bukoit kole kilen Sambesi makisir Bible Sambesi mongole kibunu koroi airo ko tun tinye biik wakat nuni kibo Noah komi technology notok tun kiwoche en betusiek chebo let. Kole asingyu kerkeindab tuguchu ko kabatisanet nesorwok akine en betusiechu yekinai kele tun konyone Jeiso komelen mi kiy newoloksei. Yani tesetai tuguk kama kawaida, roboni kama kawaida, tesetai chekatol kawaida, yetya koche ichek. Kou chepyoso na kakichei yomeche kotebe kot. Kut komi chepyoso neng'oisi komenget kole kale auyo inyone. Ngap konamchi alak komi koinywa, konamchi alak komi rutoi, konamchi alak tumwek. Yeche kityotab kenye kele ale ing'oise chepyoso nemi oelgei komeche kolya. Ala kesi lakwet. Tekas kesi lakwet. Kikure ng'o? Kikure Kipruto. Kele kingise chepyosani kole to sisakut. Kitosik che barabara. Ilya kole kikanai cholen atot. Chakase skuato komi betusiek. Tun yone Jeiso atep komengen biik habari age tugul. Lakini ingen biik kole nyone Jeiso as banda nebo oeng. Lakini menget kole betut ko ingiro. Amwa bukoitab kitabutab Mathayo kole mengen akot malaikaisiek amengen akot werit kobate Jehova negei betut chetun nyone. Komwas kole kerkeindab tuguchu ko kabatisanet. Nesorwok akine betusiechu. Ne kabatisananatak ko inyoru kabatisanet nebo tamin miryet ak maat inai kit nemokenen Jehova kong'ete nguno. Wane bo oeng. Kale makele istoetab simtab borto ako walunetab kabwatet nemie. Kale ko ngot ko makine ng'alechu kole ko kabatisanet no ilen ane kokibatisan en kanisetab Seventh Day, kokibatisan en kanisetab Roman, mawalaksei ane. Ole kwatebe ko making'eo ndatekenome ami soet. Imwaun ng'o ng'alechotok? Kokile kewale kiyotok kwaigei kuo kerokyi beek. Eng notok kalechin bukoiti nai kit nemite orit. Sir yotok my friend tupchenyu. Ako ngot ko menai ng'alechotok tugul cho koma kole kele makele istoetab simtab borto. Yani kale kot kometu akobo kabatisanet komakele komuchis na kewoino akobiungei woistei ngiwe chito akiwastae anan itilchi beek akibir beek kotebi mang'u ikure kakibatisanin. No. Anan kitun komi chi nikitun nyokolondoi nikicham kobunu kamwek kanyokolonde yumbo biri sikolongchi sania. Kicham koendi Komarugu chi boiyot nikibiri. Kelechi boiyot ako biripkei ketit ole ng'etichu kwalande konyil mut makele akwek yonetech meneto yoto. Antunda nyokoendi boiyot kakelechi milyel seketit. Keto koendi ngimi kwen ko milyel. Wango mi kwen kole ko milyel kuno ketit kwa beek boiyot atekekere koekse. Ko kikesup chito age ne chorwenyu nekele marehemu. Ene marehemu rani nekikure Tirop. Kwa nyep kochindo kole ko kichichi ko kirori nebo kwang'ut. Takase boiyot korokyin beek. Kole katabar boiyot beek. Kilechi kolya mesoru. Kole angaesyo ane kelechi mildoge kit. Kole kameso borore. Konyi kelechini konyi kalya Tirop kamakatesor chichi. Kole aja ole kalipto beek yoi. Ko kichichi kingororye ko kirori nebo kwang'ut. Kingen as korori. Nyep kochun as kole koi kakomong kakase Tirop kotokororye. Komesubi. Nere boiyot kole nakatachi sorwo man iwe nyirori akilyon. Ngot ko makinai umaana nebo ubatizo. Asokoek maana ubatizo na kibatisanin na ba kanisa. Ama iwal kabwatutikuk ngele ubatizo kwa kile wal kabwatutikuk. Ngomena kit netesetai kotun keng'etu kou notok. En betusiekab Noah sikobit kikuye. Kenai kele kitech Noah melit eng ng'onyut nikinye. Ak biik chekibo orit ko kikisor. Mwaat kou notok. Mi melit nekemeche ketech moinget nekemokyin biik ra ko ngot ko manai kokergei ak kibo betusiekab Noah. Noah ak family chechik tugul koboto tiong'ik ko kiba melit orit ako kikisor eng beek. Namba 3, chi age tugul kipkosabei nemi emoni ngot ko manai kole mi riret eng betusiechu kotun komoboto chekisoru kuyo kikisor biik 8. Namba 4, neibesiet achek nekikon besiet eng Noah koboto family chechik. Inai ile ko kibesio Noah ak family chechik kobesie ing'weny nekiakonyit eng kekto. Eng notok ko kiyan Noah kwa melit asikobit konyor sorunet. Ko ngot ko makikuye kou notok kotun kebeku tugul kibagenge. Namba 5, moingoneb Noah ko inai kaniset neinet nenyolu. Ngomenai moinget neilonye imuchi ilany moinget age tugul. Kakakoi moinget takoreresoni, lakini kimeche inai moinget neinet ne notok kibo Noah nemi sorunet. Simewe kityo amu kibendi ko nyakaikuye kekure as kanyoru kabatisanet nenin. Namba 6, kabatisanet anyun ko kurget kityo kakile mang'une olea, mang'une emet nemiten kekto akimong'chi ole mi Jeiso. Notok kit nekemeche inyoru eng Jeiso Kristo nitok nekimeche ko nekimokyin kristianindet kobendate. Kabatisanet ko kaborunet tab ng'etietab Jeiso Kristo ak meet. Iboru kole kiaime, iboru kole keme, iboru ng'etiet, iboru kole keme ak iwe kererit ak ing'et. Ko ye kainai ng'oliondonotok ko kayetu. 8, ko eng kabatisanet anyun ye kibatisanin ibortei ile kamang'u eng ng'wony ako kawe emet age, sikobit ye kaiwe emet age komako inye ipkotok Jeiso Kristo. Notok neiboru umaana nebo batiso. Mabek kityo. Nebo 9, inai muguleldang'ung ile boisionik chu tugul chekikiaun eng kabatisanet komelen sarun beek ama sarun kit age tugul, ako sarun kit nekinai eng Kristo Jeiso. Amu kale bukuitab Jehova ak nisobondab koigeny ale konain Jehova ne inyendet tinyegei ak Jeiso Kristo nekiyoku. Nebo 10, ko yekaikonugei ak ityage yeku chito neityagat eng orititab sobondo. Nekit ko kang'alal kuya katyech ng'alechu komi kit nekakimeche sikobit inai akobo kabatisanet ak sorunet nemitei. Yekinai ng'alechu tugul chu ko kimi kebeberta nebo 3 nebo etunatetab sorunet ak kabatisanet. Sikochamin Jeiso akoluwenenkei tupchenyu sikobit kenai nga okere kuya kyakeng'alale eng betusiek chikikosirto ko kimi kebeberta namba 4 part 4 nebo ng'alechu tugul chu. Kebe kosir sorunet ak kabatisanet manobo beek amasarunen alen kianam Jeiso ko Ketindetab sobondonyu. Imwa ile makwane nesobei ako Kristo nesobei eng ane, sikobit kobaun Jesu Kristo eng ortinwek tugul ak siitias kabatisanet nebo tamirmiriet ak maat, kokwerin logoiwek chemiach komabet neitin bororietab kipsengwet. Ara chamanikab Jehova, ngosikoberurin Jehova akondou sikobit kotikikuye mising. Asomin ale meker kuyo kaketchigei ng'alechu, ameche iker ki nebo kebeberitak bo sorunet ak kabatisanet. Asome ale sikondoun Jehova kondoiyu akine eng oret ne inegei. Ongesa Kiptaiyat Jehova neisobe koikeny, kongoi amu kaketoi kanetisioni. Akibe komasta age eng wikit nenyone kinyeketou chelelach, iegu kanetindenyo. Ngoyaak makeng'ung eng kainetab Jeiso netindenyo. Amen. Kongoi mising. Ane nakami koboto komage ak Sumyan Delile kobun kanisetab Tirin. Kongoi sikiberuron.